Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Villa Park City Council. I hereby call the meeting to order. Steve, will you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Miles,
Present.
Councilwoman Jones,
Here.
Councilman Pitts.
Here.
I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Jones. I apologize. Councilman Wu.
Here.
Mayor Rossini.
Here.
I'm sorry about that. My apologies.
Thank you. This evening, in an abundance of caution due to what was perceived to be a lengthy agenda, I was going to skip the invocation, but apparently we continued an item. But nonetheless, we're going to skip the invocation dedication and move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilwoman Miles, would you please lead us?
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Please stand if you're able. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The Villa Park City Council and staff welcome you to this meeting. We encourage your participation. If you wish to address the City Council, please complete and submit a speaker card to the City Clerk before the scheduled meeting time. Speaker cards can be found outside the entrance to the City Council chambers. Speakers will be called in individually during the public comment section of the item they wish to speak on. Speakers will be limited to a time period of 5 minutes. Speakers were also able to submit comments in writing by 3 p.m. today. Those comments will be read aloud during the public comment section of this item, excuse me. Do we have any public comments, Steve?
Yes, we do have general public comments.
Okay.
But do you want to do the presentation?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do the presentations first. We have the Villa Park Library, the Sheriff's Department, followed by the OCFA first. Welcome. You're up.
Thank you very much for inviting me to the meeting. I wanted to talk about a few special programs we have coming up in February. On Tuesday, February 6th at 4 p.m., we're going to have Lunar New Year. Oh, thank you. Tuesday, February 6th at 4 p.m., we will have Lunar New Year Bingo, and everyone is invited to come and have fun with us, and we will have small tokens for the bingo winners. The very next day, Wednesday, February 7th at 4 p.m., we will have a Valentine card craft, and everybody is welcome to come and make a card for someone special in their lives. On Wednesday, February 21st at 4 p.m., we have a special teen program where they will make their own journal collages. And we're really trying to reach out to teens in the community, so we hope to have a great turnout for that. We have our continuing programs, which are family story times at 10 a.m. on Saturdays. We have baby and toddler story time on Tuesdays at 10:30. And we have our book chat program on the first Monday of the month. I wanted to also mention that March for our library system, OC Public Libraries, is Kindergarten Readiness Month, and so we're going to have a lot of programming, fun activities to work towards kindergarten readiness. So we'll have more information soon about that. And then finally, on a less I don't want to say happy note, but tax forms are at the library. It's time to think of that. And so we do have some there. We are receiving more. And if anybody needs help printing those out or needs a place to print those out, please do come to the library and we will assist with that. We're happy to. And that's all I had for tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. You're up, sir.
Good evening. A lot of good news coming out of the public safety aspect. I presented some stats at our law enforcement advisory committee last week, and I wanted to look at the data and really compare last year to this year, right? Our fourth quarter stats. And I was really encouraged, and I want to thank the citizens of Villa Park because since I've been here, what I've been preaching, if you see anything out of the ordinary, call us. And our numbers were up almost 20% as far as just calls to dispatch. And the majority of those were suspicious circumstances, suspicious people, circumstances, vehicles. And those are the type of things where that's where we're going to catch things, people in the act. And if it isn't something that's criminal, then we're going to have a nice, positive police contact, and we'll move on with our day. But just over the last month, we've actually caught a suspicious camera in somebody's yard. We've had people that were tampering with vehicles, and as you know, as we've discussed, some stolen vehicles have kind of been on the uptick recently. Granted, poor individual was a victim of it twice, but who knows in this other suspicious vehicle tampering if that person wasn't scared away by the citizen that did call. So I just want to thank people for doing that. Other than that, everything's been really good. I'm sorry to say, I think it's the first speeding-related traffic collision since I've been here. Happened on Sunday, and many may have heard about it because I think it knocked out some phone service for a while, right?
Yeah, our phones are still out.
It's an isolated incident. Kind of a immature young man got his first new vehicle and decided to test its capabilities on a rainy day. And he found out that that is not going to go very well. He does not have a new car anymore. So, but luckily, everybody was okay. It was a solo vehicle. So, other than that, like I said, I have nothing but positive stuff to report, and I'm opening it up for any questions.
Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council. Good to be here with you again tonight. Since our last meeting on December 19th, we had 156 units dispatched to 56 incidents within the city of Villa Park. This month's safety topic for us is smoke detectors. We want to remind you that almost 2/3 of all home fire deaths occur in homes with no working smoke alarms. Working smoke alarms reduce your risk of dying in a home by 50%. Within the last 2 weeks, we had a fatality fire up in the north end of the county. And it was there were no working smoke detectors found in the home. So certainly hits home and timely with this month being, with that being our topic this month. As always, you can find more information on smoke detectors, how to install them, where to install them, how often we should install them. They make it pretty easy now. We used to tell everybody to change their batteries out twice a year when you change your clock. We don't change clocks too much anymore with our cell phones. And so with smoke detectors, we don't have to change them out a whole lot anymore either. Most of them are like a nuclear type, and so they have just a 10-year shelf life, and then they're disposed after that. Certainly, as I mentioned, ocfa.org for more information on that. And then I just want to give a kind of a save the date for our OCFA open house. I know a couple of you were there, a few of you were there last year, March 16th, Saturday, March 16th. It'll be, the hours are still to be determined, but typically they run from about 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. So, and I'll certainly bring it up again next month, and then send all of you on the council an invite as well. So that's the end of my report. Pending any questions from you.
That's it.
All right, thank you.
Any questions? Nope. Look forward to the open house. It was a great time last year. Thank you.
Yeah, real quick. Steve, could we put the information on the open house in the feeder when we get it?
Yeah, typically we'll put it
Okay,
up, but
great.
they don't have anything determined yet, so
Yeah.
nothing. It's still be TBD, I guess what you say, right? We'll happily do that, yes.
Now it is time for public comments. You mentioned that we do have public comments. We will, at this time, we will review public comments to address any off-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council, provided that no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. We will be reviewing public comments on each agenda item. Steve, is there anyone here? We've already gone over that, but just for the sake of argument, can we have the name?
Yes, we have Sandy Mayer Froelich, is that? And Dan Froelich.
Welcome. Please come up.
Hello. Yes, my name is Sandy, and this is Dan. We live over at 19366 Mesa Drive in Villa Park. And we are here on behalf of our neighbors to voice the extreme concern that we have over the health and safety of a proposed senior care facility that would be going in our neighborhood. We are extremely unique in that we live off of a very narrow street and also off of a very narrow easement. And this senior care facility is being proposed at the end of that easement. So just to make sure that I voice everyone's concerns, I'm just going to go ahead and read this to you. So this proposed business would be located off an extremely narrow single-lane easement shared by 4 homeowners. and the very narrow and windy street of Mesa Drive. Furthermore, pedestrians must walk on the street since there are now curbs on both sides and there's no shoulder or sidewalks. The increased traffic by healthcare providers, visitors, emergency vehicles would create a significant safety concern for the homeowners, pedestrians that are walking on the easement and/or street. There are numerous pedestrians that walk on Mesa at all times, and they have kids and strollers and dogs. We also have numerous bicyclists and possibly horses on our street. Currently, it's very difficult for drivers to get around other vehicles and pedestrians. I understand there are other senior care facilities in the city. However, they are located on a typical public street that's 30 to 40 feet wide. Unlike our narrow ingress and egress off of Mesa Drive and our single lane easement as well. In fact, Mesa Drive is approximately 17 and a half feet wide. And the easement that is shared by 4 homeowners is only 11 and a half feet wide. As the adjacent neighbor, we built our home 20 years ago. And we built a barn. We have horse stalls since it's zoned for horses. This increased traffic and possible emergency vehicles needed by the proposed business does not fit in the neighborhood that's zoned for horses. I'm extremely concerned about that being on a horse and that street with increased traffic is just an accident waiting to happen. Here are some additional concerns voiced by the homeowners in the neighborhood. Conducting a business in a residential neighborhood is completely incompatible with the safety and longstanding character of this neighborhood. Sirens, flashing lights of emergency vehicles, ambulances, paramedics may occur at any time, day or night, on a very dangerously narrow street with no street lights. We all purchased our homes or built our homes in Villa Park to experience what every other Villa Park neighbor expects as our daily living experience of a quiet neighborhood without a business next door. The negative impacts on our property values by allowing this proposed change is also of great concern to all of us. The safety, use, and enjoyment of our homes should not be jeopardized by someone turning this home into a business. So in conclusion, this proposed business location on an extremely narrow easement and also on an extremely narrow street would jeopardize the health and safety of everyone in the neighborhood. Therefore, the neighbors have collectively signed the attached petition asking that this project is declined. We have the petition for you. We also have this letter. I'm happy to hand it to you now if you'd like, or have it available for you.
That'd be great if you want to.
Which, is it okay if I
Yeah.
do
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, great. There we go. Oh, I got it. Do you want me to?
No, I've got a copy, so go ahead. Just go ahead. Go ahead.
Please.
Go ahead.
That's all right, you're fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're making everybody aware of this. It's okay. It's all right. I'll share. Here, please. Please, please, please. It's fine. It's fine. You're okay. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mayor, if I could address that issue,
Please.
just as it was raised. And I did talk to Mr. Froelich, is that it, Froelich? As I think the council knows, there are state law requirements that pertain to these type of facilities. If it's 6 residents or less, basically state law preempts local law. and we have to treat the facility as a residential use. So obviously, we're concerned about our communities, the people who live in them and their concerns, but we are largely hamstrung on this issue as far as prohibiting the use.
Thank you.
Could I just ask a clarifying question? Is the width of the road any sort of mitigating circumstance in this case?
The width of the road would be consistent with whatever residential requirements might be. So we do not have specific requirements. Technically, emergency vehicles have to be able to get down any road or whatever. So if there is a easement agreement amongst the, because there's a private road, if there's an easement agreement amongst the residents, which is what we've suggested the owner do, is look to see there is something recorded. Potentially, that's something that they would have civilly to do that's between the neighbors. And that would be a recorded documentation. But there's no special requirement as far as the city goes. It would be no different than a residential.
Okay, thank you.
Because of state law, not because of Villa Park law, but state law.
That's all right. You want to take a recess real quick? So you can deal with
Yeah,
it?
I'm so sorry.
We're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute recess. There might be an
Yeah, just,
issue.
if I can clarify too, for the record, I appreciate them bringing it to us because regardless of what they do, they have to comply, the homes do have to comply with all the building codes, all the access road issues, all the zoning, setbacks, all those kinds of things. And also from a code enforcement issue to the extent that there is illegal parking or those kinds of things. So we can obviously be watchful of it. But I believe this owner has come in already, and I think he's done some of his homework, so he's aware of the requirements that he'd have to live with. So yeah, it's one of those peculiarities. Several cities in Orange Counties have spent millions trying to fight this and have been unsuccessful. So we're kind of stuck with state law.
Mr. Mayor, this is not an agendized item,
Nope.
so I'd be
Yeah,
careful.
we're not
on
going
this
to debate or
Okay,
further
thank you.
discuss this. I commend the questions that Mayor Pro Tem is asking. I appreciate the instruction and clarification by our city attorney. We're not going to debate the issue here, but I think it's important that we have that information out there, and that we're going to take a 5-minute recess. Councilwoman Miles has to check on what is potentially an emergency at her house right now. So let's all take 5 minutes. Yeah. Ready to rock and roll? All right, back in session. I'd like to thank a couple for their comments and the work they put in to inform us of that. Obviously, no action will be taken on that matter because it's not an agendized item. Now we're moving on to public hearings. Our first hearing is to review and waive the reading in full of all ordinances and resolutions on the agenda. I will now open the hearing. Steve?
Thank you, Mayor. That's the item we put on every month to expedite the course of the meetings, and we'd recommend approval.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions?
Move.
Think so?
Please.
Anyone here to speak on it? I don't think
No, sir.
so. Don't see anyone. Don't hear anyone. I
So-
have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All right, let's vote on this.
Passes 5-0.
5-0. All right. Second hearing, our next hearing is a consideration of the addition of Section 18-6 to the Villa Park Municipal Code pertaining to maintenance and repair of lateral sewer lines. I will now open the hearing. Steve, staff report, please.
Thank you. So recently, we had an issue come up in the streets where we had a discussion with regard to our main sewer line and the lateral being the lines that run from our trunk lines in the middle of the street, basically, to the residences, and who's got responsibility for that. As looking back into our codes, one of the things we realized we needed some clarity. We've been operating with the assumption, and rightfully so, we believe, that the residents have responsibilities for the lateral, meaning going from the trunk to their house, and the city has responsibility to maintain and monitor the trunk lines. So it isn't specifically stated as such in our ordinances. So in an effort to remedy that, what we're doing is proposing here some clarity so that moving forward, we don't have any doubt in mind for anybody We believe that we are in the right in the past, so we're being consistent with past practice, but now we're putting it in black and white, basically. This is the first reading of the ordinance. Should it be approved by the council next month, it would be then go into effect 30 days thereafter.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions of staff? Seeing none, hearing none. Moving on, do we have any members of the public who want to speak on this item?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion on this?
So moved.
Okay. I'm
Second.
assuming no further discussion based upon the move along ayes. Okay. I have a motion and a second. Please go ahead and vote on this.
Passes 5-0.
All right. And that will come back next month for the second reading, correct?
Sure, that will come back, and that will be subject to final adoption.
Okay.
If, in the event that it's changed at that time, we'll have another 30-day come back and et cetera. Bite at the apple.
Okay, thank you. Our next hearing is variance 2024-01. I will now open the hearing. Staff, please give the staff report, or Steve, I should say.
Thank you. This is an irregular shaped lot on Mesa Drive, and Justin Urbanski will provide the presentation.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Before you is variance 2024-01. The subject application involves 19161 Mesa Drive located in the E4 Low Estate Residential Zone. The applicant and property owner is Hebatola Badier. The legally subdivided parcel is 39,040 square feet and is currently improved with a single-family dwelling, a detached legal non-conforming garage, and a horse stable. A large portion of the property was formerly used for equines and currently sits unused. In addition, the property contains an easement dedicated for ingress and egress at 19181 Mesa Drive. The subject of the application is a request to create a parcel of land that is less than the minimum E4 lot size requirement of 20,000 square feet. Per our zoning code, all properties in the zone must be at least 20,000 square feet in size. And the focus of this variance is parcel 2, which is proposed at 19,035 square feet, which is about 964.71 square feet smaller than the minimum required 20,000 square foot lot size. The applicant has informed city staff that if approved, he plans on constructing a future single-family dwelling on the property for his family. And parcel 1 would be 20,004 square feet and would comprise of the existing single-family dwelling. The engineering department has also reviewed the variance request and would ensure that any new driveway will maintain a safe distance from Mesa Drive, from the intersection of Mesa Drive and Crestview Circle. Please know that this proposed variance request would require separate approval of the tentative parcel map. So the tentative parcel map would only get a vote if the variance is first approved, and then it would have, the applicant would have to bring that before you next month for your approval. And then he would work with myself and engineering for the final parcel map. As required by state law, we did mail and publish public notices for this at least 10 calendar days prior to this hearing. It was also published in the Orange City News. We've received a letter with 21 signatures of support and an additional email of support. And 7 of those signatures of support were received after the staff report was finished. So let me go ahead and read those out to you. So the first one, I believe, is from Harvey Young at 9461 Villa Isle. The second one is from the property owners at 9491.
Just in the interest of time, rather than reading all of those off, obviously the homeowner's done a good job of reaching out, and so has the city. Do we have any in opposition?
We do not.
Okay.
No.
Council members, do you want to hear the remainder of those names and addresses? Okay. All right.
Okay.
Is your staff report complete, or do you have more, sir?
Yeah, I was just going to say that we are recommending approval.
Okay.
Because the property, there are other properties in the vicinity that are also less than 20,000 square feet, and the planning department does believe that approving the variance would allow the property owner to improve his property in a manner enjoyed by other properties in the vicinity.
Thank you. I appreciate that report. Very, very well spoken. Is the applicant here? Sir, would you like to say anything? You're not required to. I'm just asking you out of an abundance of respect for you. Okay, very well. Let me see if my council members have any questions. Council, do you have any questions of the applicant or our staff?
No question, but just a comment. Just wanted to say thank you for the phone call. I appreciate that. And history shows with me in my one seat here, I'm very much a property rights person, and I appreciated you letting me know your intent, because I think that is extremely important, especially in your micro. We're all a community, but in your micro community, it's much more important with the people that will interact and live next to you on a day-to-day basis. So, just for the record, could you please state the intent that you told me for the lot split? Can you turn your,
Close to us.
say that one more time, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Could you repeat that?
Yes, I am planning to build a house for my daughter
Thank you,
so they can be close to us.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Council, any other questions?
Just a couple comments, if it's
Please,
okay.
please.
One of the things that I think would help us, considerably would be, rather than split the two lots, would be to build an ADU out on the other part of the property so that we can take advantage of an ADU. My only concern for this is not necessarily what you're planning on doing with the property. I'm concerned long-term and overall for Villa Park, in the sense that we can change not the complexity, but the complexion of this city if we allow too many of these to continue to happen. We could have developers coming in and splitting lots and reducing the size of our lots within the city. And that's what concerns me more than anything, more so than you. And I'm just bringing this up because I think we all need to be mindful of it. I too am a property rights person and believe it's my property. I want to do anything I want to it. But at the same time, I'm really, really, really concerned. We're starting to see more of these. And like I said, rather than a lot split, if it's for a family member, then maybe want to consider an ADU or something like that, for your daughter to live in, that type of thing. So that's just my comments. Thank you.
You want me to answer that?
Council, any other questions, comments? I would just like to echo Council Member Pitts' comments. I concur with everything he said. There are other plots of land that are relatively nearby where real estate developers have suggested doing something similar. I'm very concerned about that particular location, not necessarily yours because there's an adjoining street there, but all along Mesa there, it's very, very tight, and I hope that our planning staff takes that into consideration and watches it very carefully. And out of respect for your neighbors, if this is completed and you move forward on it, and this manner is granted for you, that you park as many vehicles off the street and on your own property during construction as much as possible, just for ingress and egress purposes, and try to keep everything off of Mesa and the other adjoining streets, and try to keep most of your traffic to one side or the other, so we can avoid bottlenecks like they're currently on Loma and on Valley and a number of other streets.
Absolutely.
But I have no objections to this. Your neighbors have no objections to this. There's already precedent on this matter, but I definitely want to treat this on a case-by-case matter. And I think your particular lot has some unique characteristics that make this appropriate. Those are my comments.
Thank you.
Is there anybody from the public that wrote in or that would like to comment on this?
No, we just have the names of the individuals who contacted us.
That's
Can I
right.
ask
Please.
SB 9 and 10 actually allow contractors to split lots, correct?
Allow property owners.
Property owners, yeah, okay. So okay, that's all, thank you.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Council, do we have a motion on this matter?
I'll move it.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 4-1 with Councilman Pitts voting no.
Thank you.
And sir, could you just state your name for the record so we get it in the minutes?
Yes, My full name is Hebatullah. I'm going by Hebat Badi.
Okay. Got it.
Thank you.
Sorry you asked.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Welcome, sir. All right, we're going to move on to the consent calendar now. Now we will consider our consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and are usually enacted by one motion approving the recommended action listed on the agenda. Any member of the city council, staff, or the public may request an item be removed from the consent calendar for discussion or separate action. Council members, are there any items 4 through 7 that you'd like to remove from the consent calendar?
Sir.
Okay. Do I have a motion on these?
So moved.
I have a motion,
Second.
and I have a second. Please vote.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. Our first item of new business is regarding audit reports for the year ended June 30th, 2023. Steve, can you please give the staff report?
Thank you. This is, each year, we are required by state law to have our, basically our books, financial records audited. We contract with an independent audit firm, which is Gruber and Lopez. They've looked at our fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. And they have provided, I believe, a copy of their report is attached. There are no findings, and I think this is the third or fourth year we've had no findings. Lee and our finance director has been working with them very closely, so we're pleased to present this. This will subsequently be filed with the state of California. So
Thank you.
we'd recommend approval.
I would like to take a moment and offer my congratulations to you, Steve, and to Lee, and to our staff, Alyssa and Ashley, and whoever assists Lee in her day-to-day activities. I know it's a real team effort under your leadership, Steve. We recently received the GFOA Budget Award, and if you wouldn't mind just touching on that, I believe that's a Government Finance Officers Award,
Right.
and it's something that you have to have your acting together to get that, and we certainly do in this city.
Thank you. That's a separate award, and that involves our budget presentation, our budget document, the GFOA, Government Finance Officers Association. Each year, they have an opportunity. You can present your budget to them. They look at it to see if it meets specific criteria. They literally have boxes you have to check and things that you include forecasts, actual expenses for X number of years, et cetera. So we have submitted it. For the last 11 years, we've received a Distinguished Budget Award presentation. So a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, I'm sorry. Lee has done that. We've done it. I'm quite proud of the fact we've done it with 4 different finance directors over the 7 years I've been here. We continue to get those awards, but it is something that we're quite proud of. That's, again, different from this, but I think if people are interested, they can look at our budget, and they'll be able to look at this document online. So they'll be able to see both our financial statements for last year and our budget for the current year to allow some full transparency to our residents. And we're very fortunate to have Lee kind of telling us all what to do, including myself, sign this, do that, whatever. And we're very fortunate to have such a dedicated person to get this done on time and submitted to the state. So we're very proud of that, both the Budget Presentation Award and the fact that we had, when they go through basically your transactions, they sample your transactions. To find no findings means that they agree with what you've done, which means our money has been handled and recorded appropriately, which again, I think is very important. And the document is available to public should they want to see it online.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Is there anybody who would like to discuss this council? Any comments from you, first of all? Any members of the public who want to discuss this item?
No.
Okay. If not, I'd entertain a motion on this matter.
I'll move it.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Passes 5-0.
Next item of new business is item 9.
Item 9 is being continued. It is an item regarding parking modifications at several locations in the city. For a number of reasons, I want to continue it to allow us to correct some or clarify some exhibits to allow to incorporation item later in the agenda so that we're dealing with one intersection in one item as opposed to broken out 2. And also to make sure that we firmly have clarified all the and identify the residents that may be involved. So I would recommend if there's any public comments, you take it tonight. Otherwise, you would take no action and will be discussed at the February 27th, 2024 meeting.
Can I ask to add something? The area, could we add to this, the parking, or making the curb, or discuss making the curb red when you exit Villa Park High School, and you can only turn right? I don't know what that area is called, other than it's the exit to turn right. And right now, people can park there, and it's really hard to see.
And that would be part of that is part of the recommendations in here. But one of the things is the exhibits are not really clear when you look at it, so we want to clarify that. But that is one of the issues. And for point of clarification, the sheriff actually came to us and said, we would like to have some changes made into the street because of potential accidents that have happened there. So this is a combination effort with us and the sheriff's department.
Fantastic, thank you.
Are there any members of the public that would like to comment? I don't see anybody in the audience, but I know we did have some folks write in on this. Are we going to have those comments at this time?
No, we didn't have anyone on this item. There's number 11
Okay,
that they were
I
going to
beg your
write in
pardon.
on. So
That's
this
fine.
item there were no comments on item 11.
Okay.
There will be some,
Similar but not the same. Thank you.
yes, that's why we'll, yes,
We'll hold that in.
hold that thought.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. All right. So this item's continued until next month?
Till next month, February 27th, 2024.
All right, very good, thank you, sir. Our next item, new business is regarding parking modifications at various locations.
No, this is number 10.
Oh, I beg your pardon. There we go, I'm following. I'm tracking now. Regarding the Taft Avenue and Nichols Avenue cross gutter asphalt repair contract award.
So you'll recall that we did we repaved Nichols. 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, we repaved Taft.
Yes.
There is a gutter section that has appeared during weather, et cetera, that has become problematic on the Taft side of that intersection. So what we went out to do is we need to address that and also take action to make sure that the water flow doesn't create a problem, which is actually what's happened. So we'll have to address and dig up some of that cross gutter. So we went out to bid. We got 4 different bids. The lowest is, I hate to even say this because Chiliotti, whatever. The Chiliotti Engineering, $17,460, including construction management and contingency, it's $20,000. But we recommend taking care of it now because it is a potential liability. And as the gutter grows with water and continues to erode, it's problematic. So we would recommend that we move forward at this time.
I have a question on this. Is this something that we can take care of immediately out of
That's why we're moving forward on it
Right.
now.
I just want to make sure that we're not, and for the residents, so that they understand that this is going to be done once the contract is approved. It's not going to be, we're not waiting for an asphalt program or anything like
No,
that.
we would have work done in early February with approximately a 2-week completion timeframe.
Perfect. That's-
So by next meeting at this time, we hope to have it done.
It is very large, and it does need to be addressed. I appreciate that. Council members, do you have any questions on this? Please.
It looks like this is right in front of the high school.
It's across the street it's on the north side of Taft, adjacent to the gutter that Nichols. If your Nichols goes north, Taft goes this, it's on the Taft side of the gutter.
The only reason why I'm asking is, I appreciate that we're gonna move forward with the construction, but I would like the company also be aware of.
We will make
high school-
accommodations
I mean,
for
the
the school
school.
traffic
Okay.
as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Our worry is that somebody's going to blow a tire or some other kind of problem's going to happen there because of the traffic that goes through this. So we don't feel we can wait, but we'll work with we'll notify the schools and we'll work with the contractor to make sure that every effort's made to minimize impact on traffic for schools, both Saravilla and high school.
Please.
I was just wondering why the wide disparity in the quotes, the bids that we got for this job. I
All I
mean,
can say is it's
It was the same
That's why some
scope
people
of
you go
work.
out to bid. That's why you go out to bid, because the people, and their value engineering, what they think they can do, what their scope is. Maybe they've got other projects going at the same time, so they're already mobilized and they feel they can do it. The same specs went to everybody. So there's nothing different. So I can't really answer why some firms are high bid and some are low. But you can see, we had even a local vendor who came in higher, so I
Yeah,
can't
but
answer
like,
that. Except
you know-
they all had the same specs, they all had the same opportunity to ask questions in the spec.
100% more and up, it's,
Right.
okay, thank you.
Any further comment on that? Okay. Do I have a motion on this matter?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 5-0.
All right, so my script has skipped a number 11, but our next item of new business is the change order number 4, engineering design for fiscal year 22-23 annual street rehabilitation project. Steve, can you please give the staff report on that?
Thank you. You remember we had contract with Kabara Engineering for our street project. As part of that, there was a amendment that we had to make because we had to redesign the Serrano Nichols corner because of the way it was configured. So we did that. That was approximately $1,600. Secondarily, there has been some question because, as you recall, we removed a stop sign from Nichols, both north and south bound, right at Serrano. And we put in a lighted, or flashing pedestrian crosswalk. And that was done for a number of reasons. There have been some concerns raised by residents who are concerned about the safety of that, the removal of a stop sign, and any other thing that can be done potentially to help make that intersection safer, given the kids crossing, et cetera. So with that in mind, we've contacted traffic engineers, because we've also had residents saying it's great to have it removed, as Donna Buxton came last meeting, or the meeting before, and said that. So I think we've had some discussions both ways. Obviously, we need a professional engineer to weigh in on this and tell us what their recommendation is, or if anything needs to be done to make it safer. Because our bottom line is we want to keep that safe intersection for the pedestrians, and those being the kids, our primary focus. Anyway, I can, if you want to pass that out real quick. You all received an email from Chad Zimmerman, former councilman, with concerns that he has as a resident adjacent to the area. He believes that we should, two things, I will summarize, you have his email, but basically he wants the stop signs put back right away. And then secondly, to have, spend the money to put a crossing guard in that intersection. It would be our recommendation that we go out at a cost of, it's under $7,000, but we round it up for $7,000 to include that and have that assessment and done very quickly. They'll do a traffic study, and they'll come back with their professional recommendation about what needs to be done to make that one of the most safe intersections we can have there. So I think that's what we're trying to do here, as opposed to, he said, she said, or I believe, and they believe, et cetera. I would, for the record, state that we have a number of pedestrian crosswalks in the area for students that do not have stop signs associated with them. You can go drive through the city, you can find them all over, for instance, on Feather Hill, right up the street from at Serrano and Nichols, right on the bend. There's no stop signs there, and we have crosswalks there. And that gets very heavily trafficked right after school. So I think the misnomer is that you have to have a stop sign. I think we want to go by best practices for safety, and the traffic engineer, I think, is where it's going to weigh in and give us the best recommendations. Secondarily, that will include also potentially, do we need to block off more red on the street or not? And that was one of the reasons we continued item number 9, is because I want all these packaged into one, so you guys have to fully understand that intersection and what measures can or cannot be taken, or should not be taken, to improve that intersection safety. So we'd recommend, it's money well spent, because one life is worth far more than $8,600 in total, or $7,000. So I would recommend approval.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else that would like to comment or speak about this?
question?
No,
Obviously, we'll have
just the
some
comment
counsel.
from Chad.
Okay, counsel, do you have questions or comments?
Ladies first.
Go ahead.
Steve, you mentioned 7,000. This says 8,400.
Yeah, that was, the original $1,600 or $1,400 was related to the change that I mentioned earlier about the intersection. We had to redesign the curbing because of the way it was configured. So that portion is separate than the $7,000 associated with the review of that intersection.
Are we done with change orders now?
Yes, sir.
That's number 4.
The street project's done, but this is sort of the last item that we'd have kind of hanging out there.
And we're not bundling this with 9 next time down the road. We're going to vote on this one separately tonight?
This item is to be separately voted on tonight, yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Mayor Pro Tem Jones.
Yes, I'd just like to add that I personally have received a lot of complaints from Saravilla parents about the change. So I really think that this is money well spent. It'll give us an independent opinion on the safety of this intersection, and then we can move forward.
Thank you. Any further?
Question, and I kind of want to tie this in with the other one. The money, the 8,000 or whatever, that's funds that we have. We're not having to go into any kind of.
No, that would not be involved in any going to reserve or et cetera. We have funds available to cover this and with budgeted funds that otherwise would not be spent.
And for the prior agenda item as well, the 17,000. The one.
For the asphalt repair.
Yes, the 70, yes, I'm sorry, yes. I was clicking on the other item we continued, but
No,
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 we have the money
for
for
the
17,000,
pothole.
yes, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Jordan, did you have a comment? Okay. If there's no further public comment and there's no further questions or comments by the council, I'd like to entertain a motion on this.
I'll move it.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Please vote.
That passes 5-0, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have, the next item, I should say, for new business is support for Senate Bill 21. Steve, can you give us the latest and greatest on that?
Thank you. You remember last year, I believe at this time, we approved support of SB 44, which was authored by Senator Umberg. That required that there be a fentanyl admonishment given to anybody convicted or, I believe it's charged with those types of things, with fentanyl as part of their possession. Anyway, for sale or purchase or whatever. That failed in the legislation, in the legislature, I'm sorry. Subsequently, Senator Umberg has grasped the same language and tried to make some modifications and incorporate it into SB 21, which is a bill already existing. Very typical, it's gut and paste, and they move bills around, et cetera. But it's very simply the same language as before with trying to address those concerns. So we had previously approved that recommendation, that resolution supporting it. SB 21, what's different about it, it includes language that specifies that anyone who receives the admonishment should be referred to a drug court and drug treatment program, or both. And if they successfully complete those programs, they'll be allowed to have that drug charge leading to the admonishment expunged. This was a language that Senator Umberg has put in there to try and get the votes necessary to get this through legislation this year. It is lesser enforcement than it was in the prior, but again, it's a further than we have right now. So I think it's a tool, and I think from perspective, since the council already approved it, I wanted to go ahead and recommend that the council take action to follow up and pursue the same support this year.
I have one question, perhaps our city attorney here. Correct me if I'm wrong, much like the Watson admonishment with DUIs, though the DUI charge, in this case, the drug charge will go away, but the admonishment will still be in effect regardless. Is that your understanding of SB 21?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, great, thank you. That's very important from an investigative standpoint. So, thank you. Council, do you have any questions?
Comment. Really happy to see this. I know Mayor Pro Tem Jones and I last year brought SB 44, and so would really encourage the council to support this.
Concur. All right, if we have nobody from the public to speak on this, then I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second?
Second. Please vote.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. Now we have the city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the monthly report that we provide. We've obviously been busy doing a number of things. Candidly, we're actually starting our budget for 24, 25. Trying to keep all the years going, but 24, 25. And we can answer any questions. The pavement management program, we are completed with the exception of the intersections we talked about, and we're available for any questions.
Outstanding. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Any comments, concerns? Not, we'll move on. Next, we have mayor and council member matters, consideration of the 2024 city council committee assignments. Steve, is there anyone from the public that wrote in to comment on these?
No, and I defer to you. This is your recommendations based on the input you received from the respective council members.
Yeah, I thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I'd like to thank my fellow council members for giving me the opportunity and the trust to make this very important decision. And I hope it's noted that when I made these decisions and these choices, I tried to take into consideration how much time that Councilmember Pitts, but former Mayor Pitts times two, and myself have left on the dais, and put more of an emphasis on the three of you to give you that opportunity to see different things, experience different things. There are still some committees that obviously Councilmember Pitts and I feel are important that we attend. I took note of that, and I kept myself and Councilmember Pitts on two of the committees in particular. In my case, the OCFA, as the chairman of the board of the Fire Authority, you actually have a role as chairman emeritus. So I think it would be not in the best interest of the Fire Authority or the city to remove myself from that. That's why I took that stance. But I'm happy to entertain any questions or comments or concerns with respect to these choices.
I'll move the committee assignments as is.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 5-0.
All right.
So if you could really, I apologize, I did mean to mention something, I'm just looking at my notes about, I just wanted to bring to your attention that an LA County judge has taken action to halting the city of Beverly Hills from issuing building permits.
I noted that.
Because of their lack of affordable housing and their compliance with the housing development plan. So the moratorium means that they cannot make improvements on the residents can't make improvements by getting a permit. So I understand the city of Beverly Hills has appealed it, and with the appeal that the court has issued a stay to allow them to continue while the court makes that decision. But I just wanted to let you know, because we talked long ago about what the penalties are for noncompliance. That would wreak havoc on a city like Villa Park, and it would wreak havoc on any city to not being able to mention. So I just wanted to mention that. We're making progress, but I just wanted to let you know that there is those kinds of actions happening around us.
Indeed, and I want to thank Todd and thank you for your leadership with respect to that. That's something that we were warned of, something that we very aggressively tried to avoid, because that is something that can, in a very disastrous manner, affect our city, and thankfully we're not in those shoes. Moving on to item 15, resolutions opposing ballot measures. Is there anybody from the public that wrote in on this or has comments? Okay. Do I have any questions from council members on this? All right.
I have a
Please, by all means.
couple of comments. I have to say that particularly with the opposition to Proposition 1, I'm in favor of the opposition, if that makes sense. Just because when they state that a yes vote on Proposition 1 expands the Mental Health Services Act to include substance use disorders, that's very disingenuous. You know, right now, substance use is part of the DSM. It's part of our mental health services. It's part of what we're currently providing. And so I just felt that that was a very disingenuous part of this proposition to make it seem like that's been excluded up to this point, because that it has been included. And then I would also like to emphasize, just for the public's benefit, that part of Proposition 1 is a $6.38 billion bond. And this is on top of a grab for the Mental Health Services Act money, on top of the bond. So, yeah, it's a very dramatic impact for this proposition, so.
I appreciate you highlighting that. I have my concerns as well about this and a number of other measures. When you say disingenuous, things like Proposition 47 and Proposition 57 come to mind, which have led to a disastrous effect on local and state law enforcement and crime throughout our state. Do we have any further comments?
I do, unless you want to go first. So I just kind of put some summary together for the public, and these three, Prop 1 and then ACA 1 and ACA 13, just so the public can understand. Prop 1, all these are going to try and strip local control. So being in opposition to these, I hate the double negatives. Supporting the opposition to these is really important to maintain local control for cities. Prop 1 will erode local control and take away the rights of local municipalities to have separate zoning for substance use disorder facilities, and it will divert funding for addiction recovery efforts to cover taxpayer subsidies for developers to build large-scale welfare housing projects. It's a massive hit to taxpayers to fund projects at taxpayers' expense, and it overturns Prop 63's program designed to meet the unique local needs of imposing a state-run one-size-fits-all bureaucracy. And then it would slash to Mayor Pro Tem's point, it slashes like 35% of the MHSA, which is the Mental Health Services Act budgets, and could lead to the termination of many of those current programs. And for me, one of the big reasons why to oppose it is they don't give any recommendations on the care, how to care for the people that would end up losing those programs. So they completely omit them and just kind of leave them off in the distance and don't offer any suggestions on how those people can then go seek care. And then for ACA 1, which is the Assembly Constitutional Amendment, the Prop 13, which was the landmark, protect Prop 13, it's the ad valorem tax rate on real property from exceeding 1% of the full cash value. The proposed ACA 1 would amend the California Constitution to create additional dangerous to taxpayers exceptions to Prop 13 by lowering the 2/3, 66% supermajority voter threshold to only 55%. So it's really important that people understand, because a lot of them, people don't understand what it is. So ACA 1 would try to lower that threshold from 66 to 55, which would eat away or attack Prop 13. And then ACA 13, again, Assembly Constitutional Amendment, it proposes an unprecedented and alarming change to the California Constitution to impose a higher voter threshold only for certain types of amendments to the California Constitution proposed by citizens via a ballot initiative, and ACA 13 selectively raises the voter approval requirement for those citizen-proposed ballot initiatives, which makes it more difficult for ordinary citizens to pass amendments to the California Constitution that would normally limit the ability of the state legislature to increase or impose taxes upon all of us that already pay too much. So that's kind of the brief synopsis. I really think it's important that we as a municipality oppose these and help make sure that we all advocate for local control, because each one of these would chip away at that. That's it. Thanks.
Sure. Councilmember Wu.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You had your hand up.
my biggest concern is what's in it for Villa Park. And why are we putting these initiatives on this ballot or whatever tonight? I want to make sure that, first and foremost, that we don't use this forum and this council for political reasons, and be very, very careful about that and bringing forth these kinds of initiatives that may not, in totality, have anything to do with Villa Park. And we'll have very little say-so unless we, the voters in this city, decide that it's not right for us when it comes time for the ballot measure. So let's just be careful about how many of these in the future we put on the docket for political reasons and not for the good of the voters and what's good for Villa Park. That's my only comment.
Oh, I appreciate those comments. Resolutions of this type are an extremely common practice in, I would venture to say, most, if not all, city councils. I do appreciate your concerns, and I think that's, I think we're just looking at it from two different lenses. I think that's the whole point, is getting that message out there, because there is this false narrative that unfortunately the sponsors of SB1 are putting out there, the ACA1. And I think we need to shed light on that and make sure that the voters look at it out of an abundance of caution and make whatever decision they feel is in their best interest. As a council, I can tell you that when something is written in a dishonest and disingenuous manner, I think it's our job to call it out accordingly. So, thank you. Councilmember Wu, sir.
Thank you for the time. I totally understand what the council members have mentioned. I guess my question would be for our legal counsel, for the dais, whether we vote the resolution opposing this ballot measure, would that make any effect on the actual ballot? Would this result to enough city to vote against or opposing the ballot measure? Would that take off being on the ballot in November?
So the city has the legal authority to take positions on ballot measures. That's well established. It's not a gift of public funds. It's legally allowed, so the city legally can do this. What effect the powerful voice of the city of Villa Park will have upon the future electorate? I don't know. Would it maybe bring information that somebody didn't have before? Most likely, right? Will it change their vote? Maybe. But, I mean, that's the only way I can answer that.
So I think maybe you're asking, will they still be on the ballot? Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They qualify for the
okay.
ballot. That's regardless, they're on the ballot.
That's exactly what I'm asking, sorry.
Yeah,
Not a-
okay. Yeah, sadly, Villa Park cannot take things off the state initiative. That would be cool, though.
Wishful thinking.
Yes, because of that, I do agree with Councilmember Pitts. I also, personally, when I'm voting in the ballot box, I would oppose all this, but I just don't feel it is a business for the dais or for us to make that decision, and that's why I don't feel there's a need to move forward with this resolution from Villa Park City Council when it had no effects. I think the only effect right now is we are talking about it. Hopefully, our residents will hear our conversation and do their own research on each proposition, and also the ballot measure, make their own decision to do so. But I just don't think it is the council's position to make any resolution for this.
Thank you. Please.
Yes, to Councilman Pitts's point, I don't feel that we as a council should make a habit of weighing in on, state propositions and trying to affect, what our individual voters might want to do. But I do feel that these issues, in speaking to our constituents, I think are probably pretty well, we probably have a pretty good consensus throughout the city on these particular three. So I think this should still be be okay. And just to Councilwoman Miles's point, ACA 1 is actually being marketed as local control because they're knocking it down to 55% voting threshold for city, county, and special districts. So, you know, it's being marketed one way again, and, you know, so there is some of that. So it's up to every individual voter to do their homework on these issues, but I feel that the voters in Villa Park would pretty much be behind us on this.
Indeed. All right. Do I have a motion on this matter?
I will move that the council support the opposition
Okay. Do I have a second?
right, yes.
Do I have a
Did I say it
second?
right? Yeah.
I'll second it.
I have a second. Please vote. Thank you. Next up, we will have the council member meeting attendance reports. First up, mosquito and vector control.
Thank you. So we had both a Budget and Finance Committee meeting and a general meeting last Thursday. There's a new executive committee. So Peggy Wang was the president, and she's now past president. And then Craig Green is the new addition. He's now the secretary, and Cecilia Hupp is the, she's the, what is she? She's the vice president, and, Craig Green's the president. Craig Green's the president. Cecilia Hupp is the vice president, and actually Bob Roosh is the secretary. Sorry, had that off. Our Budget and Finance Committee meeting, we got a presentation on the 115 Trust, which is fully funded. The budget's all balanced. And there will be a discussion going forward about some of the Assessment District 1 potential changes that could happen because they have to pay for the sterile insect technique. So that's it. It was a pretty quick meeting.
Thank you. Next up, Orange County Sanitation District.
Well, it was certainly a lively board meeting. First and foremost, I sent to Steve, who I believe copied all of you on, we had a closed session item that we dealt with, but unfortunately, a lot of the information that we spoke about got into the newspaper. So I wanted to make you all aware of what was going on as it relates to the 23 properties in Huntington Beach. I mean, not Huntington Beach. Which is Huntington Beach? Huntington Beach. But there are 23 properties, and it has to do with the existing right-of-way and people building on top of the right-of-way and things of that nature. So there is action being taken, and we've done a lot of work to invite homeowners to come in and talk to us about things. But I just want you to be aware of it because there will be costs associated with litigation and other things that will have to be paid for by ratepayers. So the city of Villa Park has ratepayers that, you know, just so you're aware, there are circumstances that will cause, you know, that money to come out of the rate base. So just be aware of that in case someone's read the newspaper and ask you about it, just be aware of it, okay? And I'll give you further update as things move along, and I'm allowed to, because there's certain things within the, as we all know, in closed session that I can't talk about, but the things that the homeowners brought up in open session were things that we can discuss. We also reviewed the general manager's work plan for activities for this 23-24 and approved that. There are 21 goals under 4 categories: business principles, environmental stewardship, wastewater management, workplace environment. So he's laid out what he and his team are going to be working on for this year. It's quite extensive. I'm still mesmerized by the leadership and the people that work there. I mean, and the only other thing, we got an opportunity to tour the new facility, and I would encourage all of you, if you get a chance, go in and look at it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I think it's going to be functional finally. You know, you won't have to get on a bicycle or electric cart or in your car to ride around to meetings and trailers and all that kind of stuff. They're able to consolidate everybody into a single building, so I think it'll make a huge impact on things. So that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Next up, OCFA. The regular meeting will be this Thursday. I look forward to giving a report next month on that, but I did also attend the Budget and Finance Committee meeting on January 10th, and items of discussion included the 2023-2024 mid-year financial report, and the bottom line is we're in very good shape. The unfunded liability retirement, I think, is funded to approximately 93%. We're working very aggressively on retiree health benefits. I think they're in the 30s and hope to have that completely paid down within 4 years. And then overages beyond that will go towards CIP funding. Lastly, the pre-funding of CIP project policy review process took place. And 4 different options, if I recall, were provided for the committee to look at. And we elected to take a hard look at one, which was the pre-funding of large purchases such as the Firehawk helicopters, items that we would have to finance over time. That matter is still pending further review and discussion, but something to look forward to in the future. And that's all I have on that. Next up, Orange County Library Advisory Board.
The advisory board will meet this Thursday, and I have transitioned all the meeting information to Councilman.
Very good, sir. Thank you. Orange Unified School District.
Yes, so we had a meeting yesterday. We again discussed crossing guards, which I believe, was brought up in some of the comment we got regarding item 11 on our agenda. There is still no meaningful update on the lack of crossing guards in OUSD. Orange PD is still trying to hire, but they are finding it challenging, and they still have many unfilled positions. We discussed our local housing mandates in our various cities and how they could impact OUSD enrollment going forward. OUSD is convening a 7-11 committee to evaluate its properties and school facilities, so future enrollment numbers are an important consideration for that. So we also had a presentation on the potential new pool at Villa Park High School, and the City of Orange announced construction of a new skate park at Grijalva Park. Villa Park High School will be hosting their showcase and community open house on Wednesday, January 31st from 5 to 7:30 p.m. There will be information on Villa Park High School for all of our feeder schools, as well as anyone interested in open enrolling at Villa Park High School. So there will be performances from our TK students and food trucks, so come hungry. And as I said, this is a community open house. So if you have older kids and have not yet seen the changes at Villa Park High School, you are welcome to come and take a look at the campus. It's very exciting to see all the changes that are going on over there. So speaking of changes, you will soon be seeing the migration to Villa Park High School becoming a closed campus. They will be moving the staircases that face Taft Avenue to the interior of campus and installing fencing in front of the 100-200 building facing Taft. Some of these changes are about a year away. They were saying originally the fencing would go in this summer, but it looks like it's being pushed back. But I just want all the residents to be aware that those changes are coming. And finally, school will not be in session February 16th and 19th for the President's Day holiday weekend. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your report. Next up, Law Enforcement Advisory. The Law Enforcement Advisory Committee met on January 17th. And items of note that were discussed were the proposed license plate reader project, a rehashing of Senate Bill 44 fentanyl support, which we just discussed in Senate Bill 21, 4th of July fireworks enforcement, and potentially setting up a hotline for residents to call in on, as well as other enforcement measures to curb the illegal use of fireworks within our city, and to a certain degree, school traffic, as well as neighborhood watch. Do you have any further you'd like to add on that? No. Okay. That's it. And next up, we have Villa Park Community Services Foundation.
The next event that's coming up would be Lunar New Year celebration. That will be on Saturday, February 10th, 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So outside of that, we will have another meeting. And also right now, the foundation is in the membership drive. So hopefully our residents would go on the website and donate to the foundation. That's all from the foundation report.
Thank you. Housing Legislative Committee.
No meeting.
Bridges at Kramer.
We meet tomorrow.
Orange County Older Adults Commission.
So we had our first executive meeting, so now I'm vice chair, discussed really honing in to some major concepts that specifically relate to older adults in Orange County, whereas before, because of the three committees, Housing and Transportation, Legislative, and then Health and Wellbeing, we would get presentations from all different, speakers and topics or whatnot. So the chair, Meredith, kind of wanted to really address it to the Master Plan on Aging, where it focuses on specific key components. So that's in the works and being discussed. I am happy to report that today the Board of Supervisors met and all the bylaw changes that were recommended did pass today. So the three standing committees that I just mentioned will now go away with the ability for them to come back at another time. And the reason to do this was I keep wanting to call it SCAC, but now officially it is the Orange County Older Adults Commission. They would have problems with, so you had these three standing committees, and because you were on a standing committee didn't necessarily mean you were part of the general SCAC, the old word. And the requirements to get on to the general SCAC were really stringent, and you had to go and participate in a couple of meetings ahead of time. You kind of almost had to get sponsored. You had to turn in worksheets with hours of how many hours you committed where and volunteered, and it really deterred a lot of people that wanted to participate, but are business or medical or professionals that just don't have the time to document everything they're doing. And we found that it was really deterring a lot of really good, positive people that could make an impact. But it was part of the bylaws. So that was the whole reason why we started changing the bylaws. So we did change that. So now those requirements are gone. It's a much more open, if somebody wants to join, it's a very easy process now. Still reporting to the Board of Supervisors through the Office on Aging and Orange County Community Resources. But they got approved today. So the bylaws now take effect. So the standing committees went away. That was another issue because some people couldn't attend all of them. So it's a brand new day. It was great. A lot of work went into that. I was on the bylaw committee along with 4 other of the general SCAC members, and really proud that we got that accomplished, and feel that this is going to help promote all things related to older adults in Orange County. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Now we will hear individual council member information items or announcements, starting with Councilman Wu.
Thank you for that. In the support of SB 21, I would like to mention the Villa Park High School PFSO will host their fentanyl awareness workshop on Tuesday, March 19th at high school. The second thing I would like to mention and wish, because we're early now, the reason why I wear red is for Lunar New Year on February 10th. So I wish all the residents who will celebrate Lunar New Year's Happy New Year, and hopefully we have lots of residents come out to join the festivity in front of City Hall on February 10th, 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. There are new activities this year and performance, and of course, most interesting to watch would be the Lions Dance that's performed by high school Vietnamese Students Club. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could you repeat the fentanyl?
That is planned for Tuesday, March 19th.
That
The time is not yet.
Okay. All right, thank you. I attended the license plate reader town hall, which was fantastic. I unfortunately couldn't do the first one, but I'm understanding this one had a much larger turnout, and I was really pleased. It was a packed room. Really appreciate the sheriffs that came out, and some of the law enforcement advisory individuals who came to give their input and recommendations, along with a couple residents who are very well versed in the law enforcement field. So I felt like there was about a 90% support feeling in the room for the license plate reader, and that was on the 10th, I think, January 10th. So I want to thank the city for hosting that. And then was fortunate to, all of us were asked to attend an Eagle Scout Court of Honor Sunday, January 14th. We have one of the Eagle Scouts is a resident in Villa Park, but I'll read all the names. Jackson Garcia, Brian Kircher, Braden Ling is the resident in Villa Park. So it was really great that they let us know so we could recognize him. Evan Sanchez and Nathan Sanchez, and yes, they're brothers, but because of COVID, Nathan earned his Eagle Scout in 2020, but they didn't have any meetings and they couldn't do it, so they just promoted him to this one. And it was fantastic because there were school board members. Each of these boys put in numerous hours and service hours as well, and each of them to earn their Eagle Scout, along with all the different requirements, had to do some sort of project, whether that was creating a bench for people to sit at a church, or creating some sort of composting area. And in turn, this service to others really was exemplified by all 5 of these gentlemen's Eagle Scouts, and there were representatives from each of the cities, depending on which boy. But Braden Ling, my son, my oldest, and him have known each other since pre-K, so it was really neat to present from the council to all of the boys, but specifically to Braden, and congratulate them on their hard work and dedication and the accomplishment that a lot of people don't do, along with congratulating the families and the Scoutmasters for the long journey. So I was honored to represent the council there and present them with a certificate on behalf of all of us.
Thank you for doing that for us. And congratulations to those 5 young men, and they are truly future leaders for us.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem, please.
So we had a little bit of a slower month due to the holidays, but I attended Mayor Rossini's Meet the Mayor event, and although I'm not able to participate as another member of council, it was very nice to listen to the discussion, and I know our residents really appreciate having open communication with our mayors, whether it be through recorded messages or Zoom meetings, so I commend Mayor Rossini on continuing this tradition. So I also attended the license plate reader town hall almost 2 weeks ago, and I agree it was great to see such a big turnout. But I would like to tell anyone watching to please watch if you were not able to attend, and please email either the city or the council with any comments you have, because we're just continuing to hear comments from the community, and we really want to hear those. And then finally, I did want to echo the congratulations to our city manager, Steve Franks, Licio, and the staff for the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation. So for your 11th year, that's a huge, huge accomplishment. So we really appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Pitts, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, I attended the license plate reader virtually because I was getting over COVID, and I certainly didn't want to come here and share it with
We thank you
anybody.
for that.
Huh?
We thank you for that, and glad you're feeling
Yes,
better.
thank goodness it wasn't too bad, but I appreciate that. Christmas Day, which has become an annual tradition, kind of, sort of, for our family. I want to thank my wife for the work that she did Christmas Day to prepare lunch and dinner for 25 of our first responders, our sheriff deputies. We brought lunch over here and put it out for them, and they were all sitting in the conference, well, some of them were sitting in the conference room, and I actually got, through LinkedIn, one of them actually reached out to me to thank me through LinkedIn for our contribution to them that day, because there's nothing open on Christmas Day, so it's hard for them to get food and stuff like that. So she fixed them lasagna and salads, so it's, healthy, but a lot of carbs to help them, beef up and be on their way. So, honey, thank you for your work. That was something else. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues. Kind of a light month. Attended the LPR town hall, and very, very happy to see the turnout. Very happy to hear the dialogue, both for and against. And again, I think it was about a 90 to 10 as far as support versus not support, but still some great questions from some folks that had some reservations, and I'm hopeful that they came away with answers and they feel more comfortable about that and about the program. And I'm hopeful that we get further remarks from folks on that. So, and Meet the Mayor. I had my first annual Meet the Mayor, and it was a fun event, to be honest with you. It was great being able to talk to people in kind of an informal manner and just listen to them, just hear what they had to say, and just talk about a few things going on. And I look forward to doing it in further months, or I should say future months, and hopefully at least once or twice a month. It depends on how much of a toll it takes on staff. I think at least once, and we'll shoot for probably the second Friday of each month, and we'll formalize that here soon. That's all I have. If anybody else has anything further, that was it. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.